All right, let's just jump right into it. Think about this for a second. We spend, what, a dozen years or more of our lives in school? But what if that entire system, that whole setup, isn't designed to spark our curiosity, but to actually stamp it out? It's a pretty wild thought, right? So today, we're going to dig into this really radical idea that our education system is fundamentally broken. And more importantly, we're going to look at one proposed solution for how to fix it.
So, let's start with a really simple question, and I want you to be honest with yourself. Think back. Did you actually enjoy school? I mean, really enjoy it? Was it this exciting place that just made you want to learn more and more about the world? Or was it something else?
You know, for most people, the answer is a pretty quick no. And if that's you, listen to this. According to the scholar we're looking at today, that's not your fault. It's not some personal failure. Nope, it's a systemic one. The argument is that this natural curiosity we're all born with, it gets systematically taken apart, piece by piece, by the time we walk out with that diploma.
Okay, so how does this even happen? How does school kill curiosity? Well, this next part really gets to the heart of the diagnosis. It's all about an approach to learning that the author basically calls a curiosity killer. And here's the term the author made up for it: factomania. Just think about what that means. It's this obsession with forcing us to memorize endless facts, dates, formulas, all while completely ignoring the most interesting part, which is, the story of how we figured this stuff out in the first place. It's like getting the destination without the journey. All the knowledge, none of the discovery.
I mean, take chemistry class, right? We're all told, memorize this reaction. Okay, fine. But what about the real questions? Like, who discovered this? What did their lab even look like? How many mistakes did they make before they got it right? We just get the final, polished answer, and we completely miss out on the entire messy, exciting process of actual science.
And this leads to an even bigger problem. See, when you're only ever taught to just accept facts without asking where they came from, it creates what the author calls a tyranny of facts. And that's a really fragile way to understand anything.
And hey, this isn't just a science thing. Not at all. It applies literally everywhere. We learn history dates and events as if they were just handed down from the heavens, not as messy interpretations pieced together by historians from scraps of evidence. The system teaches us what to think, not how to question the source of the information itself. And this is exactly why we're almost never encouraged to ask those really big fundamental questions. Like, why do we even call them the Dark Ages? Where did that term come from? Or why did certain technologies, like steel, pop up in one civilization and not another? The moment you start to really question the origin of the facts you've been given, the whole world stops looking like a set of clean answers and starts looking like a massive universe of questions. All right, so if factomania is the disease, then what's the cure? This is where we get to the author's big solution. It's something called total science.
And let's be clear, this is not about some small tweak to the curriculum. No way. Total science is talking about a complete overhaul, a total reimagining of learning. The whole idea is to shift the focus away from memorizing stuff and put it squarely on the act of research itself. Basically, turn every single student into a researcher.
So the first big piece of this puzzle is something called research-based learning, or RBL for short. In this model, the student is totally in the driver's seat. They're the ones actively conducting their own investigations, their own experiments. And the teacher, their role completely flips. They're not a lecturer anymore. They're more like a research supervisor, a guide on the side. And the second piece is called research-based teaching, or RBT. This is all about grounding every single lesson in the analysis of actual research. So instead of a pre-digested, simplified textbook, students would be engaging directly with the source material. We're talking scientific papers that were published last month or a game-changing study from 100 years ago. The real deal.
Okay, that sounds cool in theory, right? But what does this actually look like in a real classroom? How would you even build a school system around these ideas?
Well, for starters, the whole toolkit has to change. First, you'd pretty much replace textbooks with actual scientific articles and monographs, the primary sources. Now, of course, these materials would have to be adapted for different grade levels. And second, and this is huge, the most important skill you learn is no longer memorization. It's learning how to find information. We're talking mastering how to query databases, using things like SQL and NoSQL, so you can analyze information like a real researcher.
And this is where technology's role gets a massive upgrade. Steve Jobs had that famous line about the computer being a bicycle for the mind, a tool to amplify our own abilities. Well, in this model, that's exactly what it becomes.
It's not a machine for boring drills and rote learning anymore. It's a powerful tool for genuine exploration and analysis.
But here's the thing. This vision of total science doesn't just stop at the school gate. It actually extends to all of us, with the goal of creating a whole society of lifelong researchers. I mean, this really creates a new role for everyone. Think about it. Teachers would become active researchers themselves, with lighter teaching loads to make that possible. Students wouldn't just be soaking up knowledge, they'd be creating their own learning programs based on what they find. And learning would never have to stop. Adults could join what the author calls all researchers clubs and turn any hobby or passion into a real, rigorous investigation. So yeah, the ultimate goal here is, well, it's incredibly ambitious. It's about harnessing the full research potential that the author believes is hiding inside every single one of us at every stage of life. It's about creating a culture where curiosity and digging for answers are just the normal thing to do, not the exception. The source material ends with that iconic line from Star Trek. And you know, it feels just right, because at its heart, this whole idea is about exploration. It reframes education not as the boring task of learning what's already known, but as training for a lifelong mission, to boldly go out and discover what isn't. And that leaves us with a final big question. What would our world actually look like if every single one of us was empowered to join that mission?